Carlos, when you talked about mentorship, it's funny because we're right now for Young Adults Ministry, our main topic of a series that we're going on is mentorship. Wondering, how were you able to find that mentor in your life?
Well, I think you look around at who has God placed you in your life, or who has God placed in your life, right? And it's kind of a give and take, because you might want to be mentored by someone, but they're not there, or they are not available, whatever their family or their stage in life is, they're not. And then you got other people that are willing, but you might not have that chemistry. So it takes a little bit. Fortunately, one of my mentors was from college, and even beyond college, I kept in touch with him. We didn't meet as often, but he still had great influence on a lot of the ways that I think about God, relationships, church, things like that, careers, and asking some good questions to me all the time, challenging me, not necessarily telling me how to do something, but just making sure that I'm following God's will. So when I found him in college, or he found me, and we sort of decided, hey, can we meet once in a while and just talk about life, about whatever it might be, whether it be something theological or something political or finances or whatever the topic may be. It was just kind of organic, natural. And then once in a while, I'll look around and go, oh, wait a second, I've already been having a mentorship kind of relationship with this person. I just didn't label it that way. Like, I look up to this person, and we meet. We run into each other at church and whatnot, and we end up talking about what's going on. We share life, and I realize, oh, hey, he's a mentor. And some of you guys know him. Mark Hearn is one of those people in church. And I also have peer mentors that we're the same age, we're very much in the same stage of our lives, and we've been going through a lot of things together, and we count on each other's wisdom for a lot of things. And so it's kind of looking around and realizing, hey, is there something already happening? And if not, like, let me try. Let me go and have dinner with so and so and see how that is. And you don't have to right off the bat say, hey, can I get mentored by you? But just spending time with somebody and talking, and then before you know it, you could label it as a mentorship.
Carlos, has your view on marriage changed pre-marriage and then now where you're having a wife and 3 kids? Has your view of family, has it changed?
Yeah. Is the Pope Catholic? Heck yes, changed a lot. I don't know how it is these days, because I've been out of the game for so long. And unfortunately, in my opinion, it is a game. And I know people don't want to play the game, but everybody plays the game, so you got to play the game. And there's this back and forth mind games, right? As you guys, as we used to call it and whatnot. It's so tricky. And on top of that, you throw in the beliefs of Christianity into the mix, and it gets even more complicated a lot of times. But when I was dating, it was such a romanticized thing, and churches were really, the message was being pushed about marriage and finding that love and really settling down and things like that. And so that was a strong message that was being sent, even from the pulpit. Just pastors who have really gone to those points where they would talk about marriage and how to seek it, and it's such an important, vital part, and you're not complete without that person. There were all these things. So at that point, I was like, yeah, I need to find that one person that is right, and it's going to be magical. And everybody seemed to have a very, like, how in testimonies people have like this, I used to be drug addict or whatever, and God turned me around, and they romanticize their salvation story, right? What's your testimony? And they romanticize that, right? And they talk about it, how dramatic it was. And then people had that kind of story with their marriage, right? So we all like started asking each other, well, tell me your story. How'd you guys meet? And how did God orchestrate this whole thing? And yes, definitely me and my wife have that. And we thought, oh, okay, well, it was such a magical, like fairy tale kind of, the way we met, the way I pursued her, and she said yes, and all the things that we went through. And I thought, wow, this is gonna be magical. And then we get to our first year of marriage, and things were pretty difficult. Some people have a hard, like, dating life, and then almost break up the engagement, and then they get married, and it's almost like smooth sail or whatnot. For us, it was the first year. The first year was definitely one of the most difficult years of our marriage life altogether. We had constant fights, and then we had, on top of that, it wasn't just about us, it was the in-laws, like her parents, my parents, like family structure and their expectations on us. And it was overwhelming, like trying to keep everybody happy and then put a strain on our relationship. It was really difficult, where we would take each other's frustrations on each other. And there were times, I gotta be honest, when I thought, man, maybe I made a mistake. Maybe this is not what I thought it was gonna be. But we pushed through, and literally after the first year, it got better because we had to learn and unlearn a lot of things. People used to tell us, don't go to bed angry at each other. So we would sit there and fight until 2 o'clock in the morning saying, no, we cannot sleep until this thing gets settled. Well, the thing is, we're tired by then. We're so tired, we're exhausted. But because some dumb person told us that, and you hear it all the time, don't go to bed angry, that you just grind it out, and and sometimes and then we started learning, like, okay, there's gotta be some wisdom in this. Maybe the best thing for us then is to get some rest. And in the morning, when we're a little more energized and we're a little more relaxed, maybe we'll be able to communicate better. And sure enough, yeah, we do that, and that worked. So there's so many things that we didn't know about marriage, because we heard the same things. We only hear the good things about other people's marriage. And, yeah, she's my soulmate, but nobody was open enough to tell you, like, it's crap. Some parts of it is crap, some parts of it is HELL, but you pull through it, right? And so they don't tell you that stuff. So we kind of had to get a rude awakening where we were like, okay, this is not all happy forever and after, thing like that. You really gotta work at it. You really wanna. Both of you guys have to be in tune, because it takes two to tango, and it takes one person to tune out, and the whole thing is over. One person cannot do the job of both. So it changed a lot, and we're still learning. We're still learning through different stages. We're still learning a lot.
I bet there's also a lot of fruitful things that came out of your marriage for your children.
Yeah, so I mean, besides our children, we really learned how to love each other, and we're still learning that. Some of the most difficult parts about our marriage in the beginning was that we saw ourselves fighting about the same thing over and over again. So when something got settled, 2 months down the line, we're fighting about the same thing. And a lot of times, even today, we start fighting about something, and then we talk, and then we end up like the core issue is still there. And so you just learn to handle that on itself, and depending on what it is and how those two people interact, the way me and Esther interact, and we just go ahead and talk about it and see if there's anything different. And yes, there's so much fruit in that when you're working hard towards it, and you see somebody that you fall in love again with. Because after 9 years of marriage, I don't see Esther the same way, she doesn't see me the same way. But then there are glimpses of that where she does something or I do something, and for that instance we fall in love again, sort of, and it sparks, and you're reminded, oh yeah, that's right, I love that about my wife. Or I do something and she'll just stare at me for a second, and I'll be like, what are you looking at? And she'll look at me with those eyes that she used to look at me with, and oh, that's right, that's why I fell in love with this guy. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen all the time. We don't just all day long stare at each other with those eyes 24/7. When we got 3 kids, one of them crying, one of them, fighting, and whatnot. It doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen, and we cherish those moments where we constantly. It's intentional. It doesn't happen naturally. You gotta intentionally look for those things, and that's why it's called work. Because gravity is it takes no effort, right? Gravity works on itself. Marriage is not like gravity. You really gotta work towards it. And if you leave it alone, just like a garage, it'll get messy.